It was the rise of the Phoenix in Clarendon. Magnificent McGregor led Molynes, and we witnessed another goal of the season contender. But we start one place and one place only, and that's at the Anthony Spalding Complex, where Javi and Brian pull out a rescue act. This is Match Week 16 Review Show. Yeah, people, welcome back to JPL Fan, and it's the new year, and we got JPL action to talk about. 7 games to get through, and as promised, we're going to start right at the Anthony Spalding Complex, where the Caribbean champions were taking on Waterhouse. In terms of the lineup, 2025 was looking good for Cavalier, as most of their main players are back, which means that Kylie Avery, Shaquille Stein, Jamal Calvin all returned to the starting lineup. But every JPL neutral should also be happy that Busy Atkinson was also back fit again. As for Waterhouse, they made a notable change as well. There was not enough space for Bygrave and Brian, so Brian started on the bench and Bygrave up front in a 4-3-3, which also saw Mario Sims kept his spot at left wing. No, when the game started, Cavalier started the faster and could have the lead as early as the 4th minute. Thanks to this chaos that happened in the box, but he just couldn't lead to the goal. But it was a sign of things to come. From the corner moments after that, the ball was floated in and he was allowed to bounce a couple times in the box before he found Richard King at the back post, who calmly took his time and played in Calvin in front of the 6-yard box to tap it home. 1-0 to Cavalier, and that goal came down to the composure of the captain Richard King. Waterhouse finally found the footing a bit after that and tried to come in the game more. They were trying to prepare their attacks more on the left-hand side through Mario Sims, and he was causing some trouble. But they didn't really test Vina Bartlett in goal. But they would finish the half much stronger and create some great half chances, especially this one in the box that was ballooned over the bar. So maybe signs of things to come for the second half. But even I was stunned how quickly they would get back into the game right out of the tunnel. A free kick was launched into the box, it hit Atkinson in the wall, and that deflection helped Fletcher to get free in the 6-yard box to nod home Waterhouse equalizer. 1-1, and now Waterhouse had all the momentum going forward. He came at Cavalier again right after that and was trying their best to get the go-ahead goal, but Cavalier defenders stood firm and managed to keep Waterhouse off the scoreboard once again. But Cavalier have a knack of getting goals out of nowhere, and they managed to do so once again not too long after that. It all started with this play here. The ball was launched forward and Christopher Matthews allowed the ball to bounce, which means the Busy Atkinson got the ball ahead of him, and after some nifty footwork, he managed to get into the box and make a good square towards the near post, but Shaquille Stein missed it and the ball was covered out for safety. Again, Stein has not been on his sharpest lately, but you feel that was a big opportunity miss. But that play eventually led to Cavalier's second. This time was some good work by Kylie Avery down the left. He managed to get past his defender at the byline, swinging a good cross to the near post, and Calvin surprised his opponent by reaching the ball first at the near post and took it in for give Cavalier the second. A good poacher's goal by Calvin that now gives him 10 of the season, but it was poor defending again by Matthews and Waterhouse, who should have cleared that ball much earlier, and Cavalier now looking like they have the ascendancy. But credit to Waterhouse and Marcel Gale, he rang the changes and was now saw the likes of Javi and Brian come into the game to join Bygrave up top. Although weirdly, his team was mostly spending his time on the right flank and was not influencing the game as much. In fact, the entire Waterhouse team was now struggling to hold onto the ball and saw many of their build-up plays breaking down, which meant Cavalier had numerous chances to counter, but Justin Dunn, who was making his debut, seemed to be not at his sharpest and saw some chances go by, keeping Waterhouse in the game. And that seemed to spur on Waterhouse to fight and try to get their equalizer, and they could have got him much earlier after a controversial call that happened right here. Avery took down Brown what seems to be right in the box, but the referee decided that was outside the box, and that was definitely the wrong call. It seemed that we may have to call for VAR much earlier, because that was the third similar incident just this weekend. But credit to Waterhouse, they didn't make that missed call distract them, and they kept coming at Cavalier and keep plugging away all the way up to the 95th minute, where Andre Fletcher was looking to try to float a ball into the box. A kind deflection led the ball into Javi and Brian's path, and he smashed it home to give Waterhouse a share of the points with the last kick of the game. No, I know through the speed stated that you can't do much on deflection, and he's right, it's a bit of an unlucky box for them. But I want to rewind the clock a bit to run a play that happened right before this. As you can see here, just take a look here, there was 94 minutes on the clock, where Cavalier was trying to look for a third here on the break. And don't get me wrong, as a neutral, I'm glad that they went for it. But if I was a Cavalier fan, I would have want them to carry that into the corner and kill the play as much as they can. You could say that bit of naivety. led to Waterhouse coming down at the other end and finding their equalizer. Nonetheless, the whistle will blow right after that, and Waterhouse will get a share of points in a good entertaining game against Cavalier. So it was a fun game, but how was it in terms of the numbers? Well, Cavalier had 43% of the possession compared to 57% from Waterhouse. Cavalier managed to have 7 shots in total compared to 11 from Waterhouse. 2 shots on target only for Cavalier, and they scored from both of those, of course, and only 3 shots on target for Waterhouse. Cavalier managed 43 dangerous attacks compared to only 38 from Waterhouse, and Cavalier had 6 corners and Waterhouse 4. So yeah, let me start with Cavalier first. This one's a bit tricky to analyze. I felt for their defending during the run of play, it was one of their better games all season, but yet at the end of the day, it's another game where they failed to keep clean sheets. A stark contrast to how they were last year, where it was basically a death sentence once they allowed Cavalier to score first. While Waterhouse, credit was credit is due, I spoke about in the preview that they need to show more fight against the fellow top 6 teams, and they finally did so today and they picked up a big point. Also, I felt that they just simply look much better with either Graham or Brian playing as a lone striker, and today is another game that proves so. But anyway, for now, it finishes Cavalier 2, Waterhouse 2. We now move on to our next game, which was the current raiser for that Monday night match, and that was Tivoli Guns taking on Portmore United. In terms of the lineup, there was a big change for Tivoli. Unfortunately, their top scorer, Anthony Nelson, was hurt in a motorcycle accident, so he was out. There was no more Justin Dunn to come in for him, so as new signing Malik Cockins got an early debut into the lineup. As for Portmore, Benjamin Williams returns in goal. Tariq Zimenez and Rimori Guthrie will be the one tasked of trying to find some goals, and surprisingly, Siobhan Walsh was not in the squad whatsoever. Now, while the Cavalier Waterhouse game was going to be entertaining, this game will end up being far from it. But it did start out exciting as Portmore got a big chance in the early proceedings from a throw-in and a quick pass. Guthrie was played into the box, but at the acute angle, he just couldn't get past Horton. But it was early sign of things to come from both Portmore and Guthrie. As 5 minutes later, Tivoli was robbed of the ball in the middle of the park, and then Portmore was coming on the counter. Guthrie took the ball and danced around a couple of defenders before getting one-on-one with Horton again, but this time he coolly slotted through his legs and into the net for the opening goal. A big 1-0 lead for Portmore, who needs this win badly. That goal kind of woke Tivoli up a bit. They now started to get more onto the ball, but they weren't looking their usual self. They weren't really having no great build-up play, and the game basically for the rest of the first half was a scrappy mess, as both teams honestly didn't carve up any real opportunities. But from halftime, Tivoli got a good talking to, it seems, and they started the second half much brighter. They were now coming at Portmore, but again, there wasn't really working Benjamin in goal. Coach Jeremy Wade seemed to realize this. He brought on Steve Clark, and he practically paid dividends immediately. After some good work by Fuller to find McCain, and he did some good footwork of his own to put in a good cross and find Clark's noggin, who managed to head it past Williams in goal. 1-1, and you could say Tivoli deserved that based on how they started the second half. They had all the momentum after this, and they were trying their best to carve up something to get the go-ahead goal, but again, their build-up play was not at its best tonight, and they couldn't really find a way through. But Rudolph Austin realized that Portmore, who has been drawing a lot of matches lately, definitely needs a win, and he threw on a lot of his attacking players to try and do so. At this point, they recaptured the game and were now the one looking more dangerous going forward. Guthrie already had a goal tonight. I felt that he should have done better where this good ball was played in for him, but he managed to throw poke his shots wide. Portmore would have kept coming, and they had a small chance here for Russian Small, but again, nothing really could work out for them in their build-up play to break down Tivoli's defensive wall. They would keep at it up to the final whistle, but the game will eventually end at 1-1. So as I said to you, it was a scrappy affair, but how was it in terms of the numbers? Tivoli had 49% of the possession compared to 51% by Portmore. Tivoli managed 10 total shots in the game compared to 7 total shots from Portmore. Only 4 on target for Tivoli, only 2 on target for Portmore, which is a stark reminder of the troubles they have in front of goal lately. Tivoli only managed 50 dangerous attacks compared to Portmore's 56. 5 corners to Tivoli, 6 corners to the Sun City Boys. Yeah, so honestly, it wasn't the best game to watch on TV or in person. Tivoli missing Nelson wasn't at their fluid best, but even I was surprised how poor they were in that first half. As for Portmore, it's another draw, and now basically 7 games without a win, and they must be wondering where the next 3 points will be coming from. Nonetheless, it ends Tivoli 1, Portmore United 1. Now for our next game, we moved from a match in the middle of the table to a match near the end. It was a Clarendon derby as Humble Lion was hosting Vere Phoenix United. As for the lineup for Humble Lion, there will be some changes up top. Clara Clark was out of the starting lineup and there was no Andre Clennon in the squad, which means that most of the attacking will fall on the shoulders of Dr. Jim Thomas. As for Vere Phoenix United, none of their winter signings were registered in time for this game. There was a change in goalkeepers. Michael Harrison is back in the nets. It was good to see Damian Thomas back in defense. Now, the way this game started, you could not tell that Humble Lion was the last place team on the league as they started the game on fire. They definitely took the game to Vere early on and was trying to push the envelope to get that early lead. In fact, they had some great chances, but thanks to Harrison in goal, Vere was able to keep Humble Lion off the board. Not to say they didn't have their patches of attack as well. Vere eventually settled into their passing groove and was now trying to cover something on the other end, but they didn't create too many dangerous attacks in the opposing box. It was mostly Humble Lion, especially towards the end of the first half, as they tried their best to crack open that Vere Phoenix United defense and is trying to get their home fans something to cheer about before the first half whistle. They failed though, and they had to come again in the second half. Half number 2 was much more exciting. Humble Lion was definitely pushing much more attackers going forward as they were desperate to get that opening goal, and it came very close on numerous occasions, especially off the feet or ahead of Thomas, but again inaccurate shooting and Harrison kept the game level at 0-0. The way the game just keep continuing going, you didn't feel that no matter how Humble Lion tried, they was not going to find a way through. But Vere does have a knack of scoring late goals this season, especially through the likes of Rabina Gordon, and they managed to do so once more. From a corner in the 88th minute that was floated in, Rabina Gordon rise highest and nod it home and give Vere a likely 3 points and a big win. There was still time for Humble Lion to get one more crack at goal, but again they couldn't manage to get past Harrison in the nets, and the whistle will finally blow to give Vere Phoenix United a Clarendon derby victory. So based on the eye test, it seemed this game was all Humble Lion, but how was it in terms of the stats? Well, the Lions had 44% of the possession compared to 56% from Vere Phoenix United. Humble Lion had 14 total shots in the game compared to 10 total shots from Vere. But here lies the problem for the Lions though. They only managed 3 of those 14 on target, and Vere managed to match them as well with 3 shots on target. Humble Lion had 66 dangerous attacks compared to 53 from Vere. Humble Lion had more corners as well, they had 8 compared to 4 from Vere, and they managed to score from one of them late. So yeah, boy, it is looking rough for Humble Lion. A very good game I felt from them. They dominated the attack for majority of the game, but just couldn't get most of their shots on target and therefore could not get any goals. They just have to solve this goal scoring issue in the transfer market. As for Vere, they was not at their best, but after some massive losses lately, they should not care. But for now, it finishes Humble Lion 0, Vere Phoenix United 1. Now for our next game is a good encounter as we head to Fernita Park as Racing United was hosting Arnett Gans. In terms of the starting lineup for the Racing, they handed new boy, the Barney Hutchinson, his home debut, and there was also a return of goalkeeper Holmes after his suspension. As for Arnett, Shea Smith and Shavani Willis were back into the team. Still no Kimani Arbine in the starting lineup, but the big news was that Fabian Parker Blocks Reed was back in the team after spending a long time out with injury. Now, when the game started, Arnett started the most smoother on the ball and got into their passing group much quicker. They were picking the ball around neatly and were already looking at threat in the early proceedings. It took some time, roughly 15 minutes, before Racing finally get a handle of the ball and try their best as well to come forward. But the best chances in the half were all mostly down to Arnett, especially this great one here where Shea Smith was slipped in, and while he managed to get past Holmes in goal, he couldn't get past the post. Big chance for Arnett, and they will come again not too long after that. This time it will be Martin with a good chance as well, but this time Holmes would not need his post as he did well to smother the shot. Racing themselves didn't really carve up anything super dangerous of their own, as the majority of the first half was all really done to Arnett Gans. But they didn't manage to find a go-ahead goal before the halftime break. Second half, we saw a different Racing team, something we have been accustomed to seeing so far this season, as they took the fight more to Arnett. So much so that they carved some great chances. Hutchinson did some good solo play here to get it shot towards goal, but he was not accurate enough to get in the opening goal. they would have kept coming and carved up 1 or 2 great opportunities that Roger Williams had to come and save his team to make sure it stays 0-0. But the more and more racing push, it seemed they were getting a bit more tired, and Arnett towards the end of the game was now starting to control the ball again. But they and the rest of us had to wait till the 87th minute for the first goal of the game. Some good build-up play at the right side of the box led to the ball rolling to the top of the D, and Martin took advantage of some bodies in front of Holmes to slide one past him and into the back of the net. 1-0, and it was some hard work to give Arnett the lead. No, some people were saying that Holmes should have done better in goal, but again, if you look at the replay, he simply saw the ball late. So even though that goal came late, the game was still close and Arnett had to finish him off. But the way they did it was simply spectacular. I don't have good enough words to describe this goal to do it justice. Simply amazing. February was out for a third of the season and was still able to manage to pull off that. A great goal to finally finish off racing for good, and the game would end right after that as 2-0 in favour of the Junglers. So another game Arnett had to grind out a victory, but how was it in terms of stats? Well, Racing put up a fight at 48% of the possession compared to 52% from Arnett. Racing managed 6 total shots in the game compared to 8 from Arnett, but Racing did manage 4 on target as Roger Williams was definitely tested, while Arnett managed 4 on target themselves. 83 dangerous attacks by Racing as they were much better in the second half, and 103 dangerous attacks for Arnett. 2 corners to Racing, 4 corners to Arnett. So yeah, Racing definitely put on a good show for their fans, but they should have really played better in that first half if they really want to take something out of the game. But their new number 9 looks good despite not scoring, and you definitely feel he and Racing will be a threat for any team that comes here. As for Arnett, this was the 3rd game in a row they had to scrap and fight to get themselves a positive result, something that would bode well for them come playoff time. This is a long season and you can't always play at your best, so it's good that they're still picking up points. Anyway, it finished once again Racing 0, Arnett Guns 2. For our next match, we head all the way out west for Montego Bay United hosting Chapelton Maroons. In terms of the starting lineup for the host team, Montego Bay made a big change in goal as Inel was not in the squad, so Davante Burton comes in between the sticks, but he was also returned to the starting lineup for Shaniel Thomas. As for the Maroons, they look identical to the team that got a point in Arnett last week, with the lone change being Levon Williams coming in for Javel Ellis. No, not surprising with the game start, it was all Montego Bay as they dominated the ball and was coming forward in droves to get an early goal. But I stated in the preview that Demar Deacon is a man to be wary of, although there wasn't much they could have done about his goal. Despite dominating the attacking play, Mount Pleasant somehow gave up a penalty, and from the penalty spot, Levon Williams saw his shot saved by Burton in goal, but the deflection was tucked home by Demar Deacon to give him and Chapelton another big goal on the road. 1-0 to Chapelton against a run-up play. But Montego kept their head up and kept going and was now looking even more and more dangerous going forward before they eventually found the equalizer in the 33rd minute. A good cross floated to the back post from the left-hand side. We saw Brian Broad arriving late in the box and was able to do enough to tuck the way to give a good equalizer to Montego. 1-1, and it was definitely justified. Montego kept attacking as they looked for the go-ahead goal before the halftime break, but they could not break through. Second half though, it was entirely Montego once more. They came on swinging very early on, so much so that they got the winner in the 52nd minute. Again, another good work on the left hand side and good cross saw Brian Broad arriving in the 6-yard box and tapped the way to give Montego a 2-1 lead. Chapelton didn't really get a chance to recover as Montego kept majority of the ball and kept up most of their attacks as they looked to find a 3rd and 4th and came close on numerous occasions. Montego definitely could have a 3rd towards the end, but they missed some chances, but they never needed in the end as the game was eventually blew to a halt and Montego ended as 2-1 victors. So the results seemed close, but how was it in terms of stats? Well, Montego had 55% of the possession compared to 45% by Chapelton Maroon. But look at this, 15 total shots in the game by the host team and only 4 by Chapelton Maroons. But Montego strikers need to work on their accuracy. They only managed 2 shots on target out of that 15 compared to 1 from Chapelton Maroons. Montego had 63 dangerous attacks compared to 33 from Chapelton, 7 corners to the host team and 6 corners to the Maroons. So yeah, a bit of the game they had at home against Vere. Mobe dominated that task going forward, but again, their decision making in the final third as well as their accuracy need to be worked upon. Also Chapelton, a valid attempt for them in a very tough environment. This was their first loss in 3 games and they showed well on the road. But anyway, finishing once again, Montego Bay 2, Chapelton Maroons 1. Now we head all the way to Draxall for a big relegation 6-pointer as Molynes United was playing against Harbour. In terms of the lineup for Molynes, the big news is that they handed a debut to their new attacker Peter McGregor, who starts ahead of Jason Wright in attack. As for Harbour, the big news for them as well is that they have an issue at centre back. There is no Romain Breakovich, so Captain Kasim Priestley had to play back there along with Gareth Stewart. Now, Molynes started the last 2 games quickly out of the blocks, and this won't be no exception. They came at Harbour from minute 1. They carried 2 great decent chances, including one for talented youngster Davis, but Harbour managed to survive. But it would not last long. Roughly in the 17th minute, from a short corner work by Graham and Gordon, a ball was floated in, and Peter McGregor can't believe his luck to finally save basically free in the 6-yard box to not home a lead for Molynes. 1-0, and it was quite easy. Harbour never responding well. They could not even hold on to the ball properly, and Molynes came back again in droves. Some good work by Graham against Bennett, see him walk into the box before laying off a decent cross to McGregor, who turned Priestley in the 18-yard box before stabbing home a shot on target, and it went in past Vere and into the goal. 2 goals for McGregor and 2 for Molynes. Harbour was in disarray by the time Molynes even find the third in the 43rd minute. Davis, who came into this game off an hat-trick against Vere, was kept in check for majority of the game by left back Hardy, was finally free to stretch his legs down the right wing, and when his cross did not manage to find its target, he was able to collect the rebound, steady himself with all the time in the world before striking home a good shot to give Molynes their third. 3-0, and honestly, Harbour was not in the game whatsoever. But credit to Harbour coaching staff, they did some good talking, made some changes, and Harbour were much better in the second half. They came out and produced 2 great chances that both fell to Rowan Brown, but he could not get neither of shots on target. Molynes did have a good chance at their own up the other end, but this time Vere was able to match the shot and keep it up for safety. Harbour would come out the other end, and there was a bit of controversy as one of their players were brought down at the edge of the 80-yard box, only if replay showed that he was in the penalty area. But the referee deemed he was outside the line and no penalty was given. Just to show you the type of luck the Stars of the East were having. But they kept coming, and they had to wait all the way in the 98th minute, and it came from the penalty spot. A handball was deemed to happen in the box by the referee, and in the 94th minute, Akosa Chung slammed it home to get Harbour a centre pride. But that's all they will get from this one, as Molynes, thanks to their dominant first half, will walk away with all 3 points. So Harbour did well to come back in the second half, but how was it in terms of stats? Well, this was a bit of a surprise. Molynes only managed to have 37% of possession compared to 63% from Harbour. That mostly came from the last 20-25 minutes of the game, where it was all Stars of the East. Molynes did manage 13 total shots in the game, majority of those came in the first half, while Harbour, because of how well they played in the second half, ended the game with 15 total shots. Molynes had 5 shots on target compared to 2 from Harbour. Molynes had 67 dangerous attacks, while Harbour drove 84. 6 corners for Molynes, 11 corners from Harbour. Yeah, so let's start with Molynes for this one. Very impressive way of getting their back-to-back victory. They started the game as if they were the more confident one, and it showed. But Peter McGregor, he seemed to be a great signing for them, and he was clinical in his 2 chances he got. As for Harbour, very poor that first half. I was amazed how poor they were for a team that's desperate for points, but I have to give them credit, they fight back well in the second half to regain some pride. Anyway, it finished once again, Molynes United 3, Harbour FC 1. Now onto our final game of match week 16, and that was the league leaders Mount Pleasant looking for revenge against Dunbeholden. In terms of the starting lineup, there's no surprise that Mount Pleasant basically kept to the same team that's been giving them all those wins in the recent matches, while Dunbeholden welcomed back Fabian McCarthy and Dejan Russell back to the starting lineup, and Dwight Merrick got a chance to play against his old team. Now, the way Mount Pleasant started this game, it seemed that they had revenge in their eyes for their lone loss this season as they came out swinging against Dunbeholden. They produced a good chance to Daniel Green here with a good header, but they could not beat Romain Hamilton in goal. But they dominated possession, and it felt it was a matter of time before they found the first goal of the game, although it came a bit softly in Dunbeholden's eyes. The play started from a simple throw-in, and when Green swiveled to put the ball into the box, it seemed that the defenders had it control, but Bradford sneaked before him and surprised Hamilton in goal to get his shot through his legs. 1-0 and Mount Pleasant were now off and running. Things got worse for Dunbeholden with Jerry Neal Jr. to come out injured for Juma Johnson, and then from a corner, they had to rely on Hamilton to keep it down to 1-0 after a good chance for Mount Pleasant. But that would not last long. From the next corner, a ball was floated into the near post, and Captain Fantastic Bacala was on hand to nod it home to give Mount Pleasant a 2-0 lead. Much deserved for how they started the game. After that second goal, Dunbeholden finally get a spell of possession of their own and finally got a pop shot in anger, but it was nowhere near in troubling Davis. Mount Pleasant would end that first half the most stronger, but they could not find the third goal. Second half though, Mount Pleasant started a bit decent, but Dunbeholden eventually started to get on the ball and was now looking a bit dangerous. They were coming closer and closer to finding back a goal, and in fact, again, another bit of controversy, and what was almost identical to what was seen in the first game between Molynes and Harbour. A penalty should have been given when the Dunbeholden player was brought down near the 18-yard line, but the referee again deemed it was just outside the box, and Dunbeholden missed a crucial chance to get back in the game. And maybe it caused a bit of distraction, as in the 57th minute they lost the ball in midfield and Edwards picked up the ball just outside his 18-yard box and did well to dribble past a couple defenders, and while we all thought he carried it too wide, he still managed to compose himself to slot it past Hamilton in goal and gave Mount Pleasant a goal, this time against the run of play. 3-0 and they now seem out of sight. But the league best scorers would find time to find one more goal, and it was a gift by Richard Brown and Dunbeholden. A needless tackle in the box brought down the player, and Alex Marshall went to the planting spot, and even though Hamilton did well to save his shot, Kyle Ming was on hand to tuck home the rebound and give Mount Pleasant 4. Now, even after that, they were close to finding a 4th and a 6th, but Hamilton did some good work again to keep it somewhat respectable with some good saves. But in the end, it didn't matter. Dunbeholden were outclassed by Mount Pleasant and the game ended 4-0. So it was definitely one-sided. How was the game in terms of stats? Well, Mount Pleasant had 53% of possession compared to 47% from Dunbeholden. Mount Pleasant had 15 total shots in the game compared to 6 from Dunbeholden. 9 out of those 15 by Mount Pleasant were on target compared to only 1 on target for Dunbeholden. 59 dangerous attacks from Mount Pleasant going forward and 31 dangerous attacks for Dunbeholden going forward. 5 corners for Mount Pleasant and 1 corner for Dunbeholden. So yeah, not much to really write home about from either team really. Dunbeholden weren't expecting to come here to really cause much trouble to rampant Mount Pleasant and know that they would need to look for points against easier teams. While Mount Pleasant exact their revenge and they are looking very good and are on pace to perhaps break the 100-goal barrier by the end of the season. So once again, it finishes Mount Pleasant 4, Dunbeholden 0. So a good match week 16. Let's wrap this up with the table. Mount Pleasant of course lead the way after 16 games with 37 points. Mobe are not far behind on 34 points in second. Arnett are in third with 34. Cavalier missed a good chance to keep pace. They are on 28 points in fourth. Waterhouse are on 27 points in fifth. Portmore are on 24 points in 6th. Tivoli missed a chance to close the gap. They remain in 7th on 20 points. Chapelton and Molynes are in 8th on 16 points. They are joined now in 9th place Molynes on 16 points. Vere are also on 16 points in 10. Racing slide back down the table into 11th on 15 points. Dunbeholden slide all the way near to relegation on 15 points in 12. Harbour are of course in relegation with 12 points from their 16 matches, and Portmore Humble Lion are at the foot of the table on 10 points. Alright guys, that's it all from match week 16. Thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you up to date on all things in the Jamaican Premier League leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, for great JPL content, you're already at the right place. JPL Fun. YouTube, pick up yourself.